And I am Roisin Ni Chleirigh with the Irish Political Roundup, and I am here with one of three newly elected TDs for Carlow, Kilkenny, Deputy Chap Cleere. Deputy Chap Cleere, congratulations once again on your success.
Thanks very much, Roisin. I appreciate that.
And Deputy Chap Cleere, over a year ago, we interviewed you here on the Irish Political Roundup, and I brought up about our Defence Forces.
Yep.
And you assured us that you would make sure that you put in your political career as deputy the Defence Forces front and centre. Well, you certainly have kept to your word so far, because you have mentioned the Defence Forces in the Dáil.
Yep.
And you had, in the last interview, you said that you have been speaking to the Minister of Defence, Tánaiste, Simon Harris.
Yep.
And he said he was coming to Kilkenny. You invited him down. And, well, I tell you, you delivered very quick, because that was only last week or the week before. And Simon Harris was indeed down here at the 3rd Infantry Battalion, St Stephens Barracks, Ireland's oldest and most historic army barracks here in Kilkenny.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I was very fortunate a couple of weeks ago. I had the opportunity to discuss Stephens Barracks with the Minister for Defence and the Tánaiste, Simon Harris. And over the course of that discussion, we discussed the importance of the barracks here to Kilkenny, the significance of this economically, and also in terms of the region as the southeast. And as part of our discussion, we looked at the different capital investments that have happened here over the last number of years. Over $5.5 million has been invested in this particular barracks here, which is most welcome. And there are other projects that are ongoing. They're going to be funded into next year and the year after. So during the course of our conversation, I invited the Tánaiste to come down to Stephens Barracks. I didn't think he would be down as quick. We got word very, very late on Tuesday that he'd be down on Thursday, and it was brilliant to welcome him here yesterday. We did a tour of the barracks, and he got a chance firsthand to see the infrastructure that's there. Also got to meet the current new recruits that are training at the moment. So he was really impressed with the staff and the facilities, and it was just brilliant to be able to invite him down and to see the impact that the barracks has here on Kilkenny.
Well, certainly the 3rd Infantry Battalion is one of the main employers here in Kilkenny, and especially economically. I think Phil Hogan, another Kilkenny TD, Phil Hogan, he actually saved the 3rd Infantry Battalion here in Kilkenny and saved the local economy.
Yeah, I mean, it's over 400 employees in the barracks in Kilkenny, so from economically, it's huge. But it also is a spin-off effect of that. It's the impact it has on the shops and people renting in the area. I mean, we met with some of the recruits yesterday, and they're here from Donegal, Armagh. There's even somebody from Finland. So the people all over the country that are coming to Kilkenny to train on the Defence Force, which is huge. And obviously we've got our normal staff numbers as well. But it's not just what to do in terms of the peacekeeping missions. It's actually also whenever there's an issue or there's a national significant event, like the storm that recently happened, or if there's flooding or if there's snow, the Defence Forces, when they're called upon, they're never found wanting in terms of their help and their aid they give to the local authorities, especially. And the Kilkenny County Council has a great relationship with the 3rd Infantry Battalion here in Kilkenny as well. So it's really, really good spirit in the place. It was brilliant to welcome the Tánaiste, and he is committed to continue to invest capital into the barracks here and the infrastructure, but also to continue to look at the terms and conditions of the Defence Forces staff to make sure that they're looked after.
Well, certainly from inside the barracks, we're talking inside barracks, the investment has been massive.
Yeah.
They have a completely state-of-the-art top-range gym, and the new accommodation. So investment has gone into the building within the walls of the 3rd Infantry Battalion. Yeah,
and I mean, we saw the gym yesterday. Like I had seen it before, obviously, but I'd seen it yesterday. It's absolutely magnificent piece of infrastructure, state-of-the-art, and I suppose it's fantastic for the staff, I suppose, in terms of their role, that you have that gymnasium hall and the actual gym. And we saw the recruits in action yesterday afternoon as well. So it's a state-of-the-art gym, and it's most welcome. It's fantastic to have it on site. But there are other projects we need to get on site as well. There's a room that we're looking to get converted into a medical aid room. I think that'll make a huge difference and really be helpful to the infrastructure of the barracks. So in fairness to the Tánaiste, he has committed to continue to invest. He's continued to look at new additional projects as well as part of the capital programme. So I'd be expected to see a lot more investment into Stephens Barracks over the term of this government.
So in Carlow, Kilkenny, you're certainly, from a Fianna Fails perspective, really putting the Defence Forces front and centre as promised.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm really championing the Defence Forces because I suppose we're very fortunate to have such a fantastic history and tradition of the Defence Forces and peacekeeping in Kilkenny, but it's the only location in the southeast that we have. So yes, it caters for Kilkenny, but it caters for the southeast region as well, and we need to continue to invest, I suppose, in the infrastructure and the facilities for the staff here, but also make sure that, as I said to you, the terms and conditions of the Defence Force, that we're able to recruit and we're able to retain staff as well, and that's really important as well. And I said, I spoke to the Tánaiste at length yesterday about both of those issues.
And you think about the retention. We went from when my son joined nearly 9,000 Defence Force members 7-8 years ago, down to 6,000. Do you see then the Tánaiste, this Minister for Defence, is he taking as what he says he's with the investment, and also from his former spokesperson, his former colleague, Jennifer Carl McNeil, mentioned last year before the general election about the investment and retention and conditions of the Defence Force members? Do you see that investment really going front and centre?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've seen from, I suppose, Micheál Martin in particular, when he was Minister for Defence, he really prioritised the Defence Force in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the capital side, but also in terms of the terms and conditions for the Defence Forces staff as well. So I think we've seen huge improvement in that. We've seen a huge drive to get Defence Forces and to attract people into it. It's a fantastic organisation. There's huge opportunities in it, and it's really, really exciting. So we've seen huge numbers of actually on the recruitment side coming, similar to the Guards as well. We were well oversubscribed with the recent Garda campaign as well. So we really need to just make people aware that there are opportunities here, trying to attract people into them, and then when they do come on board, is to make sure that the opportunities and the infrastructure is there to help them, achieve whatever it is they want to, or whatever rank they have the ability to go to.
And Deputy Chap Cleere, Ireland has a great sense of pride and respect for our Defence Forces and our Defence Force members and our veterans.
Yeah.
And has that been lapsed in the last number of years? And is this government bringing back that sense of political and national pride for our Defence Force members?
I think we've always had, as a country, we've always had huge national pride in our Defence Forces, but I think there has been a lack of investment, and that has been felt over a number of years. But to be fair, over the last 5 or 6 years, there has been a significant increase in investment. There's a really good capital programme that's there now. There's other projects that are coming on board as well in addition to that. So I think we're beginning to see a big investment in our in our Defence Forces, in our barracks, in terms of the infrastructure. And I suppose that needs to be coupled now and aided with the staff side of things, to making sure the terms and conditions are there, and that everybody that comes into the Defence Forces gets a good standard of living. And I think that's really, really important. But as I said to you, from the government, talk is cheap. We need to make sure we back them. And as I said to you, I'll be continuing to champion Kilkenny and Stephens Barracks in particular as a hub for not just Kilkenny but the southeast as a region, to have a piece of infrastructure like this in the city centre, and all the economic benefits it brings to the place, I think is huge. And I'd encourage any of your viewers, your listeners that are interested in a career in Defence Forces to put your hand up, because it's a brilliant career.
Absolutely brilliant career. And also, and may I say, as a Defence Force mammy, I certainly am very proud of my son, who bought his first house. He's a single man at 28, bought his first property, and whereas a lot of people are not being able to buy property, but he was through his career in the Defence Forces able to buy his first little property. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And it's great to hear stories of that, because we always hear of the situation of the person that can't buy or can't go on the ladder. So to hear a story that is actually refreshing and rewarding as well. And as I said to you, for any of your viewers that are interested in a career, it is a really rewarding career. It's a different career. It's not a sedate career, but it's very interesting, very rewarding, and very exciting. So I would encourage anybody, if they're interested in a career in Defence Forces, we've everything right here on our doorsteps. And everybody in Kilkenny and Carlow in this region, we all know somebody that has served or is serving in the Defence Force, and there's huge pride that comes with that. And I suppose that needs to be acknowledged as well. So I was very proud as a Kilkenny person and as a local TD to welcome the Minister for Defence and the Tánaiste to Kilkenny, to see Stephens Barracks, see the infrastructures there, see the high quality staff that's there, and the new recruits being trained. So it was a great day for Kilkenny yesterday to have the Tánaiste to come down, not for any reason in particular, just actually visit and say hello and meet the staff. I thought that was fantastic.
It was a private meeting and visit, I believe.
Yeah, private. Yeah. So yesterday we literally the Tánaiste to come down yesterday, and as I said, it was no bells and whistles. There was nothing for the camera. You just want to come down, just meet the staff, say hello, get a tour of the building. And I suppose for me, it's great that he was able to see the infrastructure, because when we're looking for additional funding, we'll be able to specifically say, look, remember we spoke about X, Y, or Z, and his department officials were here as well yesterday. So there's a couple of key pieces of infrastructure we're looking at as well, and we want to get that fast track. So it's never any harm to have the main man over down to see it. But he was very impressed, and his feedback was really positive on Kilkenny and on the staff and on Stephens Barracks.
And I wonder what was the feedback from the Defence Forces to the Minister of Defence?
Yeah, it was very positive. I said to you, it was a very positive relationship. I said he took a tour. He was very humble. We just did a whistle stop tour around the barracks. He was very open to any suggestions. He was very appreciative of everything that the Defence Forces do in Stephens Barracks here. So no, it was a very positive encounter yesterday. It was really good.
And on the reputation of our Defence Forces, internationally, worldwide, the Irish Defence Forces are respected with such high regard, and really are our best ambassadors abroad, apart from the diplomatic.
Absolutely. I mean, it's renowned. I suppose any of the peacekeeping missions that we've gone on, like internationally, would be top class, world class. So look, it's that has to be acknowledged. Well, that has to be noted. And I suppose look, the training that goes on behind the scenes and before people make their trips and before they depart, it's second to none. So they're the best trained peacekeeping corps in the world, really, and that's been recognised many times. So we're very proud of our Defence Forces. We're very proud of what to do for Ireland, and also the diplomatic role to have internationally as well. So we just want to make sure, and I want to make sure as a local TD, that the infrastructure is there for the staff, and that the funding continues to come to Stephens Barracks, so that from the southeast perspective, from a Kilkenny and Carlow perspective, that we have this top class facility on our doorstep.
Well, Deputy Chap Cleere, we are in St Patrick's Week, and your party leader, the Tánaiste, the Taoiseach, was over in the Oval Office. I have to say, he represented Ireland well in the Oval Office, and a lot of people wanted sensationalism, a lot of people wanted drama and column inches and headlines, but it was a good day for Ireland.
It was. I think our Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, he proved, number one, it was absolutely the right thing to go to the White House. There was a lot of different political parties said, no, don't go, or not sending people, or to boycott it. That would have absolutely been a mistake from a diplomatic perspective. Micheál used every single inch of his international political and diplomatic experience, and in what was a very challenging environment that he was going into, given what happened to Zelensky the previous weeks. I think he did a great job, and he just showed a safe pair of hands. I know there was occasions where he could have challenged the president a little bit more on different things, but you know what I mean. You have to cut your cloth to suit your measure, and it was a very tense and sensitive situation we were dealing with. I think he got his points across very well. He represented Ireland very well. I think we have an ally and a supporter in Trump as well in Ireland, and Trump's issues weren't necessarily with Ireland, they were more with the EU, which I suppose we can feed back. But I thought Micheál did a very good job in a very challenging situation. And whilst now people might say he could have done this and he could have done more of that, but at the time you have to remember we were going into an environment where the previous minister of a country or leader, Zelensky, went in, and it was a completely different scenario. So I think he did very well, and we're very proud to have him over there. And as I said to you, it was a great day for Ireland and a great result in terms of that economic relationship between Ireland and historic and heritage relationship between Ireland and the US has been maintained, and that's really important.
And it's also, I thought, President Donald J. Trump, the 45th to 47th president, I thought that he really showed his respect for Ireland, and it was a really good working political relationship that is really going to continue, because we do have a massive relationship with America, not just with President Donald J. Trump, who has a business down in Doonbeg, which was mentioned, and a county councillor from your fellow county councillor from Doonbeg actually got a mention in the Oval Office.
Yeah, no, in fairness to Trump, he has his businesses in Ireland, down in the Trump International Hotel down in, and the golf course in Doonbeg. But what was really important for me is that like Ireland and the US, there's a huge economic ties there. And whilst American industry is very good to Ireland industry is very good to America as well. I think we all got that point across very well, that it's a two-way street. But I suppose in terms of Trump and Ireland, there is a huge Irish-American diaspora, and it's a huge vote in the United States as well in terms of the Irish piece. So I think Trump was very acutely aware of the importance of making sure that that the Irish-US relationship is very strong, and I think that was demonstrated out there. And as I said to you, I think you can go out there with the best plans in the world and just, you just don't, like there was a famous saying years ago that all plans go out the door when you get a box in the mouth. Do you know what I mean? So we, in fairness to Micheál, he everything that was there, he dealt with very, very well and very efficiently. I think Ireland was represented very strongly out there, and I think that's a good thing.
And President Donald Trump, he really does champion his own military, the American military.
Yeah.
And that is something now that seems to be very front and center with the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael government here. And he did say that if he came to Ireland, he would meet on Taoiseach Micheál Martin down in Trump Doonbeg.
Yeah.
My question is to you, Deputy Chap Cleere, do you play golf?
I play a little bit. I'm not a great golfer. I haven't played in a while. With this job, you just don't have the time to play. I'd love to be able to play a little bit more, but certainly, there was talk that Trump might be coming to the Ryder Cup and invited the JD and the vice president to the Ryder Cup, and I think that'd be a good thing. It'd be a good thing for Ireland. If he was to come over.
When's the Ryder Cup?
2027, so it's a couple of years away, but he'll still be president at the time unless something goes wrong.
I think he'll be over here this year. Something tells me.
Look, he's over regularly. You know what I mean? Every year, second year, he's over playing golf down in Doonbeg. So look, at the end of the day, he's the leader of the USA. He was democratically elected, and whether you agree with his views or not, he is. You have to respect the office that he holds.
Ireland, I'm listening to a lot of people, especially in the media and politics, that people seem to be dismissing that a lot of people, especially with the amount of American votes that he got and the MAGA movement, that they seem to be dismissing that maybe Ireland, is there a lot more people quietly saying that they agree with President Donald J. Trump?
Well, look, the reality is, from Trump's perspective, he is the president of America. He was democratically elected by the people, and whether you agree with that or you have different views, it's okay to have different views. There's no problem with that. But at the end of the day, the beauty of democracy is that people elect who they want to represent them, whether that be in America or the same in Ireland. You know what I mean? So, the democracy has to win over, and that's what we fought for years. Over 100 years ago, we fought for independence so that our people could decide who we wanted to represent us and what government was to be formed. And as I said to you, Donald Trump is the leader of America. We have to respect that and respect the office of the president, and I never have any problem doing that.
And J.D. Vance wore the shamrock socks.
He did. I don't know where he got them. The white pair of socks with the green shamrocks. I wouldn't mind having a pair of those myself for next Monday, because there's parades going on all over the place in Graiguenamanagh and Borris and Bagnallstown and Thomastown and Kilkenny, and it's going to be a busy St. Patrick's Day for me as a newly elected politician, trying to cover as much ground as I can, get to as many parades as I can, finishing up with Coursebridge obviously later on. So I'm looking forward to Patrick's Day. It's a fantastic event. It's great to showcase Ireland. I was very fortunate a couple of years ago to head to New York as part of the Kilkenny County Council delegation as chairman of the council, and it really means a lot to the people out there as well, that actually the Kilkenny representation is coming out, and there's a huge connection there as well. So it's a fantastic opportunity to showcase everything that's great about our country. So
it's a great day really for Ireland, and a great week, especially a great day knowing that the Defence Forces are being really put front and centre back on the political agenda. And I put it to Fine Gael. Do you think that, like America, we should have a thank you for your service day for our Defence Forces and frontline services? Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. I mean, we're all acutely aware of the role that the frontline services across the board have done. You just have to look back at COVID and see, they went above and beyond the call of duty in terms of our frontline workers and our frontline service. So I think that's a fantastic idea. Certainly raise it with the department and see can we do something on that. But I do think there is a renewed vigour and a renewed enthusiasm now between the last government coming to this government in terms of our defence forces, in terms of the funding that's going to be made available, and I suppose the recruitment and retention and looking after our staff better. I think you're going to see a big uplift in that. And what I'm most happy about is that we have security now, that we know that the Stephens Barracks is going to remain in Kilkenny. It's going to remain to be funded, and it's going to remain to be manned and sourced and training to continue here, which is really, really important to me, and I'm delighted to see that happen.
And it's great that we have a TD here in Kilkenny who are doing exactly what you're doing for our Defence Forces. Because the Defence Forces, we have 6,000 members, but when you add on that, you have 2 sets of parents, and that makes it up to 18,000, and then grandparents. So you could really go into the Defence Force families, and then the veterans could really go up to maybe 500,000.
Absolutely, and I remember speaking to you and Paul on the show. It could have been maybe 4 or 5 months before the election, and we spoke about the Defence Force. We spoke about a range of different things, but the Defence Force come up, and I gave you my commitment that day that I would make sure that if I was elected, that I would prioritise Stephens Barracks and prioritise funding to make sure that everything was as much funding as possible could be made available available. So I'm delighted now, having been elected on the other side, to come back to say, look, we are going to continue investing. There is going to be an intensity in terms of the capital investment. We are going to make sure that funding is there to make sure that our soldiers and their staff are well looked after. So I'm keeping my word in terms of continuing to prioritise Stephens Barracks and all the people that work with it.
And before I actually just send a message to the is it 126 battalion in Camp Shamrock, and may I just say that you're keeping your word. Will you keep Minister Simon Harris, Minister of Defence, to keep to his word?
Yeah, I'll be holding to account. And as I said to you, I have a voice. I'm not afraid to use it. I got up in the Dáil a couple of weeks ago and I spoke, very, very strongly and passionately about Stephens Barracks. I invited the Tánaiste down, and in fairness to him, he held his word and he came down. And so far, he's been very positive in his conversation we've had in relation to this particular barrack. So I continue to hold him to account, but I'm very confident in the conversations I've had that that funding will be made available to improve the infrastructure and also on a wider scale in terms of the terms and conditions of the Defence Forces staff to make sure they're well looked after.
Last May, our Kilkenny Barracks, which led the 124 Infantry Battalion, returned back from Camp Shamrock, and another contingency went over, and there's also Kilkenny members that are over there in Camp Shamrock, and there's another warm-up going up in Galway with Kilkenny members of the battalion up in Galway. But what would your message be now to the Defence Force members serving over in Camp Shamrock in South Lebanon, and to their families?
Well, my message would be simple. My message ultimately would be thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you to your families. I know that me, as an elected representative of the Irish country, we're very proud of what you have done and what you are doing. And we wish you well, and we're looking forward to getting you home safe and sound. But just thank you for your service and for your passion for our country. It's really appreciated.
Deputy Chap Cleere, Fianna Fails TD for Carlow, Kilkenny. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk once again to the Irish Political Roundup, and especially about our Defence Forces.
Thank you, Roisin. Thank you.